Welcome to the AI for Interior Designers podcast, where creativity meets cutting edge technology. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of artificial intelligence and explore how it's revolutionizing the interior design industry. From AI-powered design tools to the latest trends and innovations, we've got you covered. So plug in, relax, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Welcome to AI for Interior Designers podcast. P.S. This intro was written by and voiced by AI to sound like your host, Jenna Gaidusek.
Hey designers, welcome back for episode 71 of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. I'm your host, Jenna Gaidusek, and today I have a special guest that I've already had before, but of course, I needed to have her back. Hey Dixie, how's it going?
Is well. How are you?
I'm
Always
good.
exciting to be back.
I know, and we talk all the time because you have joined my team recently, and you've been helping with some really cool projects that I've had in the works for a while, and I was like, I need some Dixie love here. To help me get these things off the ground and to really kind of complete the vision that I have for this area of, this whole AI thing that I've been doing. So excited to have you. And I know that we're going to be doing some really fun things together as far as like building apps, building the community, and all of that. But what you do really well, and something that I've known about you for years now, I think since you had your Facebook group and I started following like your old podcast, is how I was first like, oh, Dixie's awesome. But I love how you help designers with SOPs and like organization and the things that our brains don't always necessarily have time for, or you need to help us take off of our plate. So that's why I am having you join the second annual AI Design Tech Summit on August 2nd. And it's going to be about before and after AI ways of doing things, especially when it comes to SOPs. So one last thing before we get into our conversation is that you're also teaching with me for Q2 of the certificate program, which I'm super excited about, in May. And that will be basically an extended version of what we're going to be previewing for the summit, because the summit is a whole day. It's virtual, second annual, super excited about that. But it's really just kind of a taste of, we used to do it this way. If you didn't know that now we do it this way, here's your preview. You should join us for class. A lot has changed in the world of AI and the way that people do things in their business. So from your perspective, helping design firms and being in the design tech space here, what are you seeing?
It's saving a lot of time. And I know that gets overused, but it really is, because you can take what's jumbled up in your head, say it, type it, whatever you need to do to get it out of your head, and you don't have to organize it. You can use AI to do that. And I've got to say, it's so nice, because when I started back in the day, we wrote things out by hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still do. I shouldn't say back in the day. I still do, because
Yeah.
I like to write by hand. But I can then type that up, or even just scan my notes, have it turned into text, and then everything gets done so much faster. So much faster.
Yeah. So just right there in that like 2 sentences that you said, there was 2 things in there that I can pull out that we didn't do 3 years ago, and we definitely weren't doing 10 years ago in our design firms. Number 1, you said talk to it, meaning you didn't type. You are verbally having conversations with an AI model.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do that as frequently as I can when my microphones are working, which seems to be, I have tech problems too, guys, like constantly. But I love talking to it. And the more designers I talk to, they're like, yeah, I don't really type anymore, if possible. Are you finding that too? They're like, Poised Plumb.
And I'm seeing, I have a designer that I work with who really struggled everything was handwritten. And she was really struggling to get all of that information to her team on a regular basis. And she just started talking, open up the AI app on her phone, start talking to it. And even if she didn't have it organize things, it was in a place that multiple people could find and access, which is another key thing. It doesn't do you any good if everything is A, in your head, or B, somewhere else that people just can't find it.
which is a problem of mine. I'm going to admit that. As much, and we were just kind of talking about it because there's a lot going on. And so, I'll do something or I'll think about it. And in my mind, I check that off. That box was done, but I forgot to tell the other person. And then I'm still doing it. I'm trying to get better about it. And that I think is where AI in having a procedure or an app can come into play. And so having the time to build that is the next step, right? Are you finding that designers are excited about the potential with AI just from your general conversations or your clients?
A lot of designers are. Some are nervous about it. Some are worried about other implications of using AI. And I absolutely understand that. But I've also found that, when you look at, I learned how to draft by hand. That was how we did our drawings. But then immediately after, I had to learn how to do it by CAD. And then on top of that, because things were changing so rapidly then.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit. But it's kind of the same thing. Like, people didn't trust the technology to do things the way that they wanted it to. So we were still using the older ways. And I think as we progress, we're going to get more comfortable with it. We're going to get more used to it. We're going to understand its limitations. We're going to understand its possibilities. And the great thing is there are options out there. So if there's one that you don't like, you don't have to use it. And there are options. I saw something about Claude, depending on which level of thinking you're using, you're using more or less resources. So you can make that choice. You don't have to just assume that whatever you're doing is going to have this horrible impact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really great point. I mean, yes, there's so many negative sides of this. With designers, we want people to live better in their homes and in their communities. And so that is a struggle for all of us, I think, to wrap our brain around what is this doing to our planet and are the right choices being made? And no, they're making the cheapest choices possible for these data centers. Like, they're not doing it right. So this is kind of where I find that our industry needs to say something about that. We are responsible for how people live in their homes in general. And so while we might not be able to stop every data center, we can show up and we can, try to make them not build them near our communities. But going back to what you just said, you have the choice in your personal day-to-day to make better choices, to say, maybe I don't need to use AI for this, or can I use a model that's a little stupider so I can still get the answer and not use as much water, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's really smart. So they're slowly starting to adapt AI is what you're seeing too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better and more user friendly, which is great because I'd been using ChatGPT for a while. I've gone back and forth. So I was using Claude, then I went to ChatGPT. Now I'm back at Claude, and just seeing the difference in how much smoother and more user friendly it is.
Yeah.
Is great to see too, because it's making things easier for me to use it. Which, if it's easier for me to use it, then I'm not going to have as many stumbling blocks along the way. I'm going to get to what I need faster, which in the end is actually going to use fewer resources.
Yep.
Because I'm not spending all day going, no, I don't want you to say that. I want you to do this.
Right, exactly. So did you migrate, and I actually just put a video on my Instagram about this as we're shooting, but did you migrate your chat history back to Claude?
Not yet. I'm in the process of it.
So you are going to.
Slow, but yeah.
Okay.
The process isn't slow. I'm slow getting to do it.
No, of course, I get it. I didn't think it. So I actually made the choice to not do that. And I really thought about it. And the reason why I'm going with this is because all the pertinent information that I would need to actually train this model, such as the SOP that I built to, have a established brand voice guide, and everything about the brand, I already had it in a document that I could import. So all of those other silly little time-wasting conversations that I had with ChatGPT but didn't clear out of the memory for 3 years, I don't want them.
See, I don't want them. Okay, that makes me feel better because that right there is, I think, what's stopping me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to have my voice. I want to have the knowledge of the things that I have built, but I don't want to have to go through, because I've asked some stupid questions.
Yeah. And I'm like, that
And I
should have
don't
been
want to
hidden.
bring it over, and I don't want to go through it and delete it. So what does that leave me?
Right. It's the maintenance of like, do I actually want to bring that? Because it's
Mhm.
more so no than yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take that as my permission to not, because I can
There
just
you go.
take my brand information and stick it in there
Yeah,
and I'll be good. Which I do
exactly.
have.
Perfect. And if you do have projects, maybe just bring over the project conversations, like things like that. But not every thought or search needs to come over that's been locked in memory. Yeah. I don't want to confuse it from the get-go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like with information where I was, building something 3 years ago and then it evolved, but it still might be pulling that, which
Right.
honestly was the main issue with some of these. It's like, why are
Yeah.
you still remembering that?
Right. You can't remember what we just talked about 5 minutes ago, but that thing from 3 years ago,
Yeah.
you've got. No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Stop.
That seems like dementia, maybe. It kind of does. My
It
grandmother
really
had
does.
Alzheimer's, and that recall is very similar. Interesting. Huh, I never made that correlation, but yeah, it does that. Okay. So talking about the SOPs, because knowing now, like that's what I'm doing, and that's probably what you're going to be doing in the end too. I have this one document that is an evolution. And so that's actually how I started with this, and actually for training for Luann University, which you are teaching for right now too.
I am.
SOPs and
I
that type of
am.
stuff.
I have
Awesome.
one coming up in April. It'll be a
Cool.
3-hour intensive.
Okay. Awesome. Are you teaching right now too? I can't remember.
I am. I have 3 courses
Okay.
this semester.
Okay. Nice. All right. Yeah, I'm doing the 5 week right now. We're on week 2 and then the 3 hour. So cool. Love Luann. So with that, my first class, what we do is we kind of, you know, integrating deep research and exploring the different options for like using AI for sales. That was kind of the first week here.
Mhm.
I develop a brand voice and a brand guide. So that is always what I start with in every single training, every single program, even Canva. I'm going to be
Mhm.
teaching later today. And you train your brand voice. So I do deep research and I basically say, I need you to go scrape the internet for everything you know about me, my brand, in this time duration, because it started, in 2023 is when I launched AI for interior designers. So I say go find every single collaboration, every single press release, all of that stuff, and then build me a page. So first it comes back with a deep research report. That
Mhm.
report is what I use to train my model. So I leave that
Mhm.
in there. And then I say, now turn this into HTML code. And that's the press page that you see on my website right now. So I've actually been going through and systematically updating that way, page by page, using Claude because it's so easy. So that's just one of my examples. But what other ways have you found that maybe these little things that you can do with Claude or other AI tools can help with just standard SOPs for general AI, or sorry, the industry as a general?
There are a couple of things that I really like. I am just going to say it. I'm in love with NotebookLM. It's a Google tool. It is amazing. And what I love about it is, first of all, if you have Google Workspace already, it's free. Like
Mhm.
it's already included. You don't have to pay extra for it. If you have Google Workspace, it doesn't use your information to train the models, so your stuff stays proprietary and private. You don't have to worry about all of that. But I also love the fact that I can create a notebook in NotebookLM for a specific thing, whether it is, please just help me get all of the stuff out of my head, or it could be, here are all of the SOPs. But I don't know if we've mentioned it, but standard operating procedures
Thank
is
you.
what SOPs stands for. Basically, it's the how-to guides for everything in your business. That's probably the easiest way to think of it. But you can put all of that information into it and ask it questions. And not just put it into it, you could have Google Documents. So you could have one Google document that is, okay, these are my basic things where I am just going to add things throughout the week that I think of as I'm doing them. And then you can pull that Google document in, and NotebookLM can say, okay, these are the themes I'm seeing here, because you can do a mind map with it. These are the topics. This is what you said was going to happen if you're, let's say, for example, you are inspecting a piece of furniture that just arrived.
Mhm.
talk through that, and you can use the app on your phone. You can, whatever you need to talk through it, or because it's harder to type it. It's easier, especially while you're in the middle of doing things, to talk through it, record it, get the transcript, pop that into your Google Doc, and say, okay, these are the things that I'm doing right now. I have signed for it from the receiver, not the receiver, but the shipping company. Probably wouldn't want to do that till after you looked at it. But, you know, exactly the way that I'm saying these things, you can say it that way and have it put it into the right order. And then you've got your SOP there that if you hire a junior designer or an admin or somebody, and you need to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to go inspect this. Can you run and sign for this and inspect it? By the way, here's how to do it. And if you have all of those things feeding into all of the checklists and how-to guides and things like that feeding into your one notebook, because you can put so many documents and the documents can have a ton of pages in them. You can just have that as your home base where the junior designer or admin or whoever can type in, how do I receive
I love that.
a furniture shipment?
Yep.
And it makes life a lot easier because you're not having to tell them where to find the information. You're not having to remember to tell them all of the, you saw how I stumbled. I have received how much furniture in my lifetime?
Right.
And I still was like, well, you know, the receiver, no, not the receiver. It's the same thing when you're talking to somebody else and trying to train them. It's hard to remember because it's all in your head. It's hard to remember the whole thing. And so part of that is you're getting the information out of your head. Part of it is it's okay not to have it in specifically the right order. You can review it and update things and change it, but also capture the information while you're doing it and talk through things and include things like, okay, this isn't broken, but if it was, then I would have to do blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And this is like one example, but
that's a cool one. I haven't thought of it that way. I use it different ways, but I like that use case. Yeah.
So
very
can
smart.
use it for things like that all the time. I think that when it comes to processes and getting them written down and, you know, like I said, checklists and standard operating procedures and all of that, the stumbling block is that it's just this wide open, I have a blank page. I don't know what to put on it.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it like that. Just record yourself while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And talk out loud. I'm doing this. I've had to train people how to do that when they're evaluating software, because I want to know what they're thinking, because we have this idea that we're testing out and I want to know what they're thinking and how it feels to them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just
verbally having them say that, like, yeah.
Okay, now I am going to click on this. And when I do that, I see this. It's the same concept of just say it out loud. That way because I can't be in your head.
Right. Yep.
Just say it out loud.
Yep. And now, like, and I've been saying this for 3 years, our voice is gold. And the transcripts we can make, and I'm not saying like go open Claude and like have this voice clip, because for some reason Claude does not listen to my voice the majority of the time. So I think that's a personal problem. Like I was up last night planning something. I'll tell you in a few years when I launch it, but I was, talking to it and everybody's sleeping in the house and I go into the bathroom because it's midnight and I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I didn't hear you. And I'm like, okay, this is an issue because it's constant with Claude. But anyway, generally they work. I don't typically go and do it like that. I typically will open the notes section of my phone and I have a widget that I use for just voice to note. Samsung.
Yep,
iPhone for you. Yeah. See, we got all these cool features, guys. I'm sorry for you, iPhone. You have some standard options as well, but we have some really cool, like just home screen. I can just pick it up, like, I'm driving and that's when I have some really great ideas, or I get out of the shower and that's when all of the ideas are there and I need to get them out before I would leave the bathroom, and then they're gone forever. So putting those into voice transcription in my notebook. I can label them, I can export them to my favorite large language model. And then, like you said, Google NotebookLM, which is like one of my all-time favorite inventions. And it's one of the first one of the first podcasts that I did on here was using the podcast version from a presentation that I uploaded, and then people were talking about it. So that was one of the first things. Now it's evolved with what you can create, make some pretty SOPs or whatever. Like you can export them as infographics if you wanted for your team and your branding colors. But anyway, after you have your transcript, like that is the most authentic version of you. Like there's nothing more brand voice than using your voice. So taking that transcript and then repurposing it, and then also the mind map feature, because the stream of consciousness, who knows what just came out? But if you can map that visually, I love that. Yeah.
How many times do you say, wait, what was I just talking about? Because you have one idea while you've got one idea, first of all, but then you have a little side quest and you go off on the little tangent, but you can't remember the first
Actually
thing
a little
that was
bit.
really good.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. So yeah, if you're talking, it catches that. And you can say, what was that?
Yep. And then eventually it'll be like, okay, now back to that center point. Here's the mind map. Things you can't just do in regular conversation, or else people are like, where are we going with this?
Yeah. And I love the way it'll say, okay, you talked about this and this and this and this. And that helps spark new ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome too, because you might not even see a standard procedure in there where it's like, hey, you don't have anything for this. I know a lot of firms, and myself included, we just didn't write it down. Like there was some that were so well documented, binders for everything, but this terminology of SOP is what like the really good firms that were really well organized did. Now everybody can do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it doesn't take as much time now as it used to. It used to be you had to sit down and you had to write it and you had to think really hard. Now you can start with the basics, at least get the basics done. Then you've got a copy of that you can layer in the nuances as you go. And it could be, okay, I have this standard way for receiving furniture. And maybe you just start with, okay, everything went great.
Yep.
Hey, well, what happens if it doesn't? Like, what do you do then? So you come back and you add more information. And this is what happens if it's broken. This is what happens if, whatever the millions of things that can happen. This is how you, for this particular shipping company, need to report damage. You can add in those nuances later. You don't have to sit down and do the whole thing at once. The biggest thing that you can do is just get started. Just get started.
Yep. Just open the note in your phone and
say, this is what I'm doing.
Download it.
And I think of new stuff all the time. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and they had somebody leave their firm and they said, I don't even know what software that person had seats on.
Yeah.
So now you have to go back, and so that right there is a standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
How do you keep track of who is on which software? And the other one would be, what do you do when that person leaves?
Yeah. I almost feel like these should be notebooks for everything, like, because sometimes they get a little convoluted if you're putting everything in there, but it can be very like, if you have ADHD, we'll just say this, and you buy a new beautiful notebook or a new planner and you're like, this is going to change my life, right? Like, I think we all have done that.
No, I've never done that.
And you start out and your handwriting's so perfect and so neat. By page 3, I'm like, I'm done with this, But that's kind of like, I actually want to use notebooks when they're digitally because there's reward at the end. So not only is there like organization and constant input, so it's an ever evolving thing, it's also a place for you to get pretty stuff out of it and ask questions and bring in additional research that you might not have thought about. So I'm kind of thinking with what you're saying, maybe like having that employee notebook where it's like, here's, the programs that everybody has, or, hey, does this designer use this? And just kind of have that running list of things, because those are all internal. If you're using, your organization is all on the same workspace, you can share those with everybody.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And there's the great thing too is though that you don't have to share your notebooks if you don't want to. So maybe you have a notebook that is just for HR procedures. You may not want everybody to have access to all of that. So you can not share that one, but share the one that is about all of your how-tos for your basic running
New
your
employee
business.
handbook, extract that info from your HR, but put it in the same format.
And I will say that's one of the things. So I also teach a risk
Mm-hmm.
analysis crisis. It's not really crisis management. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
risk management, crisis preparation kind of thing. And one of the things that I talk about is if something, let's say you got knocked on the head by a coconut today and you're in a coma for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe not realistic, but you know
We'll
what
go
I mean.
extreme. Yeah.
Go with whatever you want. What happens to your business? Is there anybody who can step in? Do
Mm-hmm.
you have things there where they could step in and do all of the things for you?
Mm-hmm.
And having things, you can have the general stuff that your employees need, but you can also have your emergency person only get, share the emergency stuff with that person.
Yeah. Yep.
So
That's smart.
it
And
gives
things
you
you don't
those
think about.
layers that protect you.
Yeah. Yeah. Super smart. Man, there's so much we can uncover, but we're going to save that for the other things, because I think if we keep talking, we're just going to give away all of the good information that we want you to come learn about more in depth. But there's so many ways, as you can see, that, we use even just the built-in tools. Like, we're not going out of our way to spend hundreds of dollars on these tools. They're built in to what we're already using for the most part.
I'm big on not spending extra money if you don't have to.
Same. Yep. Yeah. And you really shouldn't be now, in the way that apps are going and you can develop them yourself. Like, we are seeing the end of SaaS. It is basically now, I want it, I'm going to build it, and then I own it type of thing. And I don't need to go find 5 tools that do somewhat of what I want and then merge them together. Like, we're done with that. Yep, that's exciting. Now we just need to get the designers to see that and then make the change and understand that it is for the better. It is going to be time consuming, but worth it, right?
And it's the same thing as going from hand drafting to digital. It's hard to learn. It's exciting once you've learned it.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise it's not as scary as it seems.
Yeah. Yep. Talk to it like a human. Don't talk to it like a robot. It was trained on all of our stolen information as humans. So we laugh, but thanks for stealing all of our stuff, guys. All right. Well, I am super excited for April Ghent, which is all day. We'll be streaming. We've been working on some really cool stuff that we will be sharing, which is kind of my big before and after from last year. Big transition, big changes in the way that the technology is there now. Things I was trying to do last year, I could not get it to do, and we are there. So I'm excited to be showing those things and hearing more from you about, because I don't know what you're going to be talking about. I learned so much today. That's why I bring in cool expert guests, because you guys have such a cool perspective on all the different angles of AI. So thank you for being here, and thank you for joining me for all these upcoming classes. Excited.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. I'll talk to you next time. All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tune in next week for more AI tips for your design business. See you next time.